What's good, YouTube? It's your boy Dgotsauce back with another live stream. Thank you guys for tuning in. I really do appreciate y'all viewership. Make sure you guys hit that like button, hit that subscribe button too if y'all are new. As always, man, I hope you guys are doing well, man. We are here on our episode number 4. Moving forward very, very smoothly. We have so much work to do, so much to talk about today. But first off, start by saying thank you guys again for tuning in. Y'all have been showing me so much support lately. Almost halfway to our goal of 500 subscribers. We're like 7 subs away now. We've been moving pretty fast, man. I can't even lie, man. It's dope to see, and I just want to say thank you because it's because of y'all. It's because of y'all. Let me just make sure that everything is going smoothly. Please let me know if y'all can see and hear me well in the chat. I'd appreciate it. Seems like we're doing all right. Make sure y'all double tap that screen for your boy. It's dope, man. It's dope. It's dope. It's March the 16th, man. March the 16th. So much news has been going on lately, especially due to the Iran war and, just politics in general. So much to the fact to where there's been a lot of lies and misinformation being spread about this war. And one thing I like to do is I like to get both sides of it. I like to hear what both sides have to say, because if I don't hear what both sides have to say, I'm pretty much biased. Although I might have to be supportive of one side over the other, it's still good to know what both sides are fighting for and what both sides are fighting against. That's just for knowledge. It's not because I'm trying to change my mind, or I'm trying to feel sympathy, or it's just for knowledge. Because knowledge is power at the end of the day, man. Knowledge is what we all need in life to really understand what's going on. I mean, a lot of stuff is deeper than what it looks. A lot of stuff is, it's not just so much surface level. It's not just one thing and that's the way to go. There's more to it than that. And we gonna figure out exactly if we're doing the right thing or if we're completely wrong at the end of the day when it comes to this war. We're gonna figure it out. But here I have a video, and thank you guys for coming in, man. I appreciate y'all. Make sure y'all hit that like button. I have the videos of what the foreign minister of Iran is saying about this war, and how they're not trying to negotiate. They're not trying to stop attacking or defending themselves. They're not trying to end this war at all. And it's not even that it's not going in their favor. It's not like it's not working out for them. They're actually doing a good job at protecting themselves. Not only that, they're doing a good job at making sure people's pockets are hurting. And that's one thing that the United States of America might not seem to understand. When it starts hurting the people's pockets, and it starts hurting what's going on in the grocery stores and the gas prices, people don't get excited about that. But let's tune into the video and see what foreign minister has to say about it. Thank you guys for tuning in again, man. Make sure y'all hit that like button. I do appreciate y'all for coming in, man. Hit that like button for your boy, man. It don't hurt nobody.
Foreign Minister Araghchi, thank you so much for your time this morning, sir. I wanted to start with the news overnight that the U.S. has carried out a military strike on Araghchi Island. The President of the United States said that for reasons of decency, I have chosen not to wipe out all the oil infrastructure on the island. However, should Iran or anyone else do anything to interfere with the free and safe passage of ships through the Strait of Hormuz, I will immediately reconsider this decision. Let me start by asking you about what has happened on Araghchi Island and what is Iran's response to these strikes.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I think our armed forces have already answered that they would retaliate if our oil and energy infrastructure are attacked. And they will attack any energy infrastructure in the region which belongs to an American company or an American company is a shareholder. So the reaction would be clear. Last night, they have attacked Araghchi Island and Abu Musa Island.
Let y'all know if see what y'all think about this war. The U.S.
artillery rocket system, HIMARS as they call it, which is a low-range rockets, and they have done it from the soil of our neighbors. And this is crystal clear that now they are using the territory of our neighbors to attack us by these kind of, rockets. And this is absolutely unacceptable.
Which neighbors, sir?
Well, these last night attacks were tracked by our forces, and now it is clear that they are fired from UAE, from two locations in the UAE, from in Ras Al Khaimah, and from a location very close to the city of Dubai. And it is very, dangerous that they use highly populated areas to launch, rockets against us.
That's why this is why they're bombing certain places in the Middle East. Although it might not look like it's affecting the U.S. as much as it's affecting the U.S., the Middle East, this stuff is very, very chaotic. It's very, very chaotic because the U.S. is using their bases in these specific areas in the Middle East, and they're not even getting retaliation like that. Like, the retaliation is affecting the actual Middle Eastern country more than it is the United States, which is something that we got to talk about.
Retaliate, but we try to be careful not to attack any populated area.
Is there any sign that Iran is prepared to allow passage of the Straits of Hormuz? Will the Straits of Hormuz remain closed so long as this war continues?
Well, as a matter of fact, the Strait of Hormuz is open. It is only closed to the tankers and ships belong to our enemies, to those who are attacking us and their allies. Others are free to pass. Of course, many of them prefer not because of their, security concerns. This has nothing to do with us. And at the same time, there are many tankers and ships who are passing through the Strait of Hormuz, and I can say that the strait is not closed, but it is only closed to American, Israeli, ships and tankers, and not to others.
Makes sense.
We know that Iran has elected a new supreme leader, Mojtaba Khamenei. He has not been seen yet in public, though he did issue a statement yesterday. I'm sure you have heard the comments from the U.S. Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth, who has said that he claimed the supreme leader is wounded and likely disfigured. What is the status of the supreme leader, Mojtaba Khamenei?
He's lying to us.
Well, they have made so many claims like this. Yesterday, they said that all Iranian, authorities are in the bunkers, but at the same time, the whole world saw our president, the Speaker of, Parliament, everybody secretary of our National Security Council, everybody was in the street among the people who demonstrated. So there are lots of accusations like that. They will see soon, I guess, that there is no problem with the new supreme leader. He sent his message yesterday, and he will perform his duties. He is performing his duties according to the Constitution, and he will continue to do that. I think by now it should have been clear and it should have been known for everybody that our system is very well rooted in the society. The Islamic Republic is a system which is not dependent on any individual or any group of people. It is well established. It's a very well established political structure, and the deep state is doing its functions, is functioning, and everything is in place. So they shouldn't have any hope for anything happen to the individuals. That the system is working. It worked properly after the assassination of and martyrdom of our supreme leader. You saw that nothing happened.
The U.S. needs to stop lying about this, man. That's, in my opinion, they're doing too much. Make sure y'all hit that like button for your boy, by the way. Thank you, man. Answer the poll in the chat, too, if you guys think that the U.S. is right about this war. They're pretty much lying to us. They're really lying to us. And it's unfortunate because a lot of people are believing like this is what's really going on out here in Iran. And it's not. It's not. They don't feel the same type of way that we feel. They have their own beliefs over there that works for them. And they're telling pretty much the United States and Israel, y'all should have mind y'all business. Y'all should have mind y'all business. We got this thing going on over here and we like it like this. What y'all got going on over here in the West, kudos to y'all too, but we don't want that in our country. And we should have left it alone. But let's continue, man. Let me know how y'all feel about
and
this.
And everything remained in order, and still everything is under control.
Alfonso, what up?
I wanted to ask you about the war strategy from an Iranian perspective. Can you tell us right now, as you know, there has been reporting that both Russia and China are providing targeting intelligence to Iran to target either U.S. positions, facilities, infrastructure across the region. Can you confirm or deny whether Russia or China is providing military support and intelligence to Iran?
Well, Russia and China are our strategic partners, and we have had close cooperation in the past, which still continues, and that includes military cooperation as well. I'm not going into any details of that. A good cooperation with these two countries, politically, economically, even militarily.
That's him, not
say
us.
Once again that this is not our war. This is an imposed war against us. We didn't start this war. It was an unprovoked, unwarranted, illegal act of aggression against us, and we are only defending ourselves, and we continue to defend ourselves as much as it takes, and as long as it takes, in order to end this war in a way that it won't be repeated in the future.
As you probably saw, the United Nations this week, UN Security Council passed a resolution condemning your attacks on your Arab neighbors. It received 130 co-sponsors, which is a very significant number. Your close allies that you just said are providing you support, Russia and China, they didn't veto that.
How y'all feel about this down in the
chat, they abstained from it, but they didn't veto it and allowed the resolution to pass. Do you think the global community has spoken clearly about the way Iran has conducted this war on its Arab neighbors with condemnation and calling on it to stop?
Defend itself. I 100% agree. I do agree.
The Security Council is suffering from the lack of justice in its decisions and resolutions it makes.
I said it before and I'll say it again, man. You would never let someone come into your house and tell you what to do in your house and tell you where to sleep in your house and how to talk in your house. Nah, you gonna defend your house. You ain't gonna let a robber come and eat your food without addressing or asking you. You ain't gonna do that. You gonna defend your property. And that's exactly what they doing over there. They're defending their property. They're proud of their country. They're proud of their religion. And listen. They're gonna fight for what they believe in. And they gonna fight till the end, and I don't blame them at all.
No, how is it possible that the Security Council condemned us for defending ourselves and is not condemning the United States and Israel who started this aggression? So if they want to have a just, full decision or resolution which can work, they should consider all aspects of any event. You know, we are under attack. It was the United States and Israel who started this war. They deserve to be condemned, not us. What we are doing is, and this is why that, you know, so many countries have become hopeless about the role of the Security Council, including the United States, who has
so bad
decided to go for its own board of people, even for the United States. The council votes, you know, politically and based on the interest of, you know, certain countries and not based on realities, based on justice.
You do acknowledge, though, that Iran is targeting civilian targets across the Gulf countries, right? Because, you know, I've spoken to officials across the region, and many of the targets that have been hit are clearly civilian buildings. Why is Iran targeting civilian buildings and airports and commercial ports in Gulf countries that made clear they are not involved in these attacks against your country?
No, it is clear that we are attacked from, unfortunately, their territories, from American bases and American military installations in the territory of the Persian Gulf countries. And this is very unfortunate. What we are doing as an act of self-defense is to targeting American bases, American installations, American assets, and American interests, which are unfortunately located in the territory of our neighbors.
Don't say nothing
just as an example, 2 days ago, the United States attacked one of our, you know, banks. They are doing, you know, they are attacking our, you know, cities and our and civilian targets. They attacked a school in Minab. It is very well known for the whole world. They have attacked some hospitals. Two days ago, they attacked a bank of Iran. A building belongs to a bank. And so we decided to retaliate in kind with the building in two cities around us. So what we are doing is only the principle of an eye for an eye, which is very well known.
Let me know how y'all
Let me ask you really quickly about the negotiations before the war started. Do you believe Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner were good faith negotiators conveying accurate information back to the White House about Iran's position during these negotiations? There's been some reports that you shouted at Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner, that you threatened that you had enriched uranium to make 11 nuclear weapons. I want you to set the record straight on those negotiations in the final days before the war.
Well, I don't know what they have conveyed to their boss. What I know is that on 26 February, when we met in Geneva, we were able to make a good progress. As Omani Foreign Minister, the intermediator, said it was a significant progress. And before he posted his tweet, he read it to both delegations, and both delegations accepted that, yes, this is the right, you know, the right saying about what we have made today. Significant progress. This is what we were able to do it on 26 February. Well, the things which are said by U.S. interlocutors, I do understand why they are saying those things. They want to justify an unjustifiable act of aggression. So they are trying to make some excuses for themselves. I never said that we are going to make bombs. I said that we have 440 kilos of 60% enriched material, and that was not a secret. That is what is mentioned in the reports of the IAEA. So I said that, look, this is mentioned in the report. This, if enriched more, can be good enough for 10 bombs, as your own experts claims. So we are ready to give them away. We are ready to dilute them, to downblend them into lower degrees. And by saying that, I wanted to say that the concession that we are making is really big. But how they have interpreted that, I don't know. Maybe because the lack of enough knowledge, maybe because of their intentions to justify, as I said, the act of aggression, which cannot be justified. I hope that the true story of what happened on 26 February in Geneva would become known to the people soon.
Mr. Foreign Minister, thank you so much for your time.
A deal. That is the
very laggy interview, guys. I'm sorry. I apologize. It's not us. It is him on his end. The Middle Eastern Wi-Fi is not the same as the United States or elsewhere, you know what I'm saying? But give him grace. He's lagging, but he's spitting some truth here in his opinion.
Mr. Foreign Minister, thank you so much for your time. We're out of time. We certainly appreciate you joining us. Thank you.
Great interview from their side. Again, we just trying to get down to the bottom of this, man, to really find out what's going on, how people are actually feeling about this war. So let me know y'all thoughts down below in the comments. Make sure you guys double tap that screen for me. I appreciate it, man. It goes a long way. And hit that subscribe button too, man, if y'all are new. As we get into the next topics here.
To be condemned, not us.
A little bit of ahead of myself. Let me know y'all thoughts, man, about this down below. Great content, dude. Thank you, Irv, tuning in, man. I appreciate you, man. Appreciate you. Yeah, we got 56 people in here. 56 people in here, and I know a lot of y'all have opinions about this. So please let me know. Don't be afraid to say what you feel in the chat. I know y'all feel some type of way about this. We got 42% now saying that the US is right about this war. And then we got 58% saying the US is wrong about this war. So it's very, very close. It's very, very close. Earlier, y'all was saying the US was not right about this, like it was a landslide. But now it's looking like y'all are feeling like it could be possibly even, man. It could go either way. But we got some more topics to get into. The president or the prime minister of the UK wants to tune in and talk about this war for a little bit. I guess he was live today with the press conference, and he has some stuff to say about it. So let's tune in and see what he has to say and how England and the UK is feeling about this war, man. I know America's feeling some type of way, and the UK has their own type of feeling about this too. Apparently it's hurting their pockets as well. So we'll see. Doug says, God bless America, God bless Donald Trump, and God bless our troops.
Good morning. The conflict in Iran and across the Middle East is now entering its third week. So I want to take a moment to set out how we're responding to this crisis and standing up for the British people. Our priority is always the national interest, and so we have been clear and consistent in our objectives throughout this conflict. First, we will protect our people in the region. Second, while taking the necessary action to defend ourselves and our allies, we will not be drawn into the wider war. And third, we will keep working towards a swift resolution that brings security and stability back to the region and stops the Iranian threat to its neighbours.
Let me know more. Let me know more.
I want to see an end to this war as quickly as possible, because the longer it goes on, the more dangerous the situation becomes, and the worse it is for the cost of living back here at home. Now, in recent days, I've visited community centres in England and Northern Ireland, and I know people are really worried about what this means for them.
Andrew says Keir Starmer does not speak for most of us, the British people. It's good to know. That's good to know, though.
And look, I grew up working class in the 1970s.
So how is it
I
over
remember
there?
how it
Y'all
feels
liking him
when
like
you're
that
struggling
or not?
to make ends meet. It's a knot in your stomach every time the bills come through the door. And that's at the forefront of my mind in meeting this crisis. So in a moment, I'll set out what we're doing to help people with the cost of living. But let me first give you an update on what we're doing in the region. We continue to work around the clock to help our people in the Middle East. As of this morning, over 92,000 British nationals have returned to the UK on commercial and government charter flights. Now, that work continues, including to support British citizens in Lebanon. Our armed forces are working 24/7 to protect British lives and British interests and support our Gulf partners. We have thousands of servicemen and women in Cyprus and across the region. 3 squadrons of fighter jets working alongside counter-drone teams to intercept Iranian attacks. They are protecting our people, our bases, and our allies night and day. And I pay tribute to all of them.
Trump is talking right now?
We're also continuing our diplomatic response. The Foreign Secretary has been in the region in recent days. I'm in close contact with leaders from across the Gulf and Europe and beyond. I met Prime Minister Carney earlier this morning, and I'll be meeting President Zelensky soon, because it's vital that we continue to focus on supporting Ukraine. We cannot allow the war in the Gulf to turn into a windfall for Putin. Now, it's clear the US operation has massively weakened the military capability of the abhorrent regime in Iran. The question is, what comes next? When the fighting stops, we are going to need some sort of negotiated agreement to constrain the threat posed by Iran,
just by his,
to limit their ability to rebuild their nuclear program, to pose a ballistic missile threat and arm their proxy militias, and limit the threat that they can pose to international shipping, which is hitting global supplies of oil, of gas and fertilizer, which is pushing up prices here at home. Now, we've already acted alongside other countries to release emergency oil stocks at a level that is completely unprecedented. But ultimately, we have to reopen the Strait of Hormuz to ensure stability in the market. That is not a simple task. So we're working with all of our allies, including our European partners, to bring together a viable collective plan that can restore freedom of navigation in the region as quickly as possible and ease the economic impacts.
Still, majority vote no.
Because of the decisions that we have taken,
about this war, the U.S. is not right about
the
it.
British economy is better placed than it otherwise would have been to weather the storm. Since the election, we've built up our national resilience. We are delivering the biggest uplift in defence spending since the Cold War. We're investing in clean British power to boost our energy security and protect people working from volatile fossil fuel markets. And because we have brought stability back to our public finances, stability that I will never put at risk.
If the U.S. distance themselves, or if the U.K. tries to distance themselves from the U.S., that'll give Russia the opportunity to swipe in, I believe.
We are in a better position today than we were at the start of the Ukraine war 4 years ago.
Should probably do that regardless.
Now,
anyway.
back then, inflation was 5% and rising.
They wanna fight.
We brought it down to 3% today. And this isn't just about dry economics. It's about values. We built this resilience for a reason, to give us the space to act, to support working people, and shelter our country from the shocks, the volatility that is buffeting our world. And we are acting. So this morning, I want to set out 5 steps that we're taking to tackle the cost of living. First, we have capped energy bills until the end of June, saving the average household £117.
Double tap that screen for your boy, guys. Thank you so much.
Now that's in addition to the Warm Homes discount of £150 for the most vulnerable in society. No matter what happens now in energy markets, in 3 weeks' time, your energy bills will be cut and then capped for the next 3 months. And I can announce today that we're giving a legal direction to the energy companies to ensure that every penny of the savings that we delivered through last year's budget is passed directly onto customers to keep bills as low as possible.
In their pockets.
Second, we have extended the cut in fuel duty until September. And we've introduced the cheap fuel finder, forcing petrol stations to publish their live prices to make it easier for drivers to choose the lowest price. Now, let me be really clear on this. Back in 2022, when prices spiked because of the conflict in Ukraine, I campaigned for a windfall tax on oil and gas companies. And we have raised it in government to ensure that companies can't profit from spikes in prices like these, and that money will go back into people's pockets. I simply will not allow companies to make huge profits from the hardship of working people. Now, this government was elected to stop that, and we will. That's also why we're going to support rural communities with the cost of heating oil. And this is point number 3. The CMA reported last week what every heating oil customer already knows. These are accounts of suppliers cancelling orders and jacking up prices. Now, that kind of conduct is completely unacceptable. So if the companies have broken the law,
I'm from America.
There will be legal action. And because it's clear this market is under-regulated, we're going to put that right to ensure customers get a better deal.
Getting the UK perspective on this war.
But we won't just wait for that. I'm announcing immediate support for vulnerable heating oil customers today, providing £53 million for those households that are most exposed. Fourth, we are pushing ahead with our long-term plan to build Britain's energy security and independence, because otherwise we will continue to be subject to wild fluctuations in oil and gas prices.
So the oil and gas is affecting the UK as well as it is affecting us in the United States. Let's be honest here. All right. I said this a couple of days ago, and I'll say it again. Man, I was enjoying the low gas prices we had about 3 weeks ago. I was enjoying it. I don't know about y'all, but I sure was enjoying it. And now, not so much. Be honest with you. Not so much. It got me thinking twice about going to the pump. Like, dang, do I really need this gas right now? But life goes on, man. Life goes on. Hopefully we look forward for it to come back down. Right?
We've already brought in £90 billion of investment in clean British energy.
Do y'all really support Iran? Some people do in this chat.
Over 20 million homes.
Some people support Iran. Some people
just
support
last
Israel.
Week, we committed to reforming regulations
with the US,
so we can fast-track new nuclear power stations. Now,
as you can see, it's 50-50. If you're looking at the poll that I put in, man, the U.S. is, if the U.S. is right about this war, it's at 55% now, saying no, and 45% saying yes, they're right. So it's close. It's pretty damn near break even.
Been opposed every step of the way by those who want to resist the push for clean energy. They did the same throughout the entire period of the last government, and they won. But we see here, as we did with Ukraine,
with Iran on this,
that this is a vital cause.
Great Day says the gas prices will go back down.
Because until we get ourselves off the roller coaster of international oil and gas markets and onto clean, homegrown British energy, tyrants like Putin and the Ayatollahs will be free to attack our energy security.
Get back to business.
So we won't slow down on this. We will go faster. Fifth, we will continue to work towards a swift resolution of the situation in the Middle East. Because there is no question, ending the war is the quickest way to reduce the cost of living. And look, it's moments like this that tell you what a government is about. My answer is clear. Whatever the challenges that lie ahead, this government will always support
working people. We're the bad guys in this one too, MT.
That is my first instinct, my first priority, to help you with the cost of living throughout this crisis. And I want to make one final point.
Always
because moments like this
That's a fact,
also tell you about leadership.
That is a fact.
Whether to commit British troops to military action is the most serious responsibility for any Prime Minister. I have been attacked by some
Fascists will always be the
for my decision not to join the offensive against Iran. But at every stage, I've stood by my principles. Principles which I held just as strongly when it came to debate about the Iraq War in 2003. Principles which I believe are shared by the British people, that our decision should be based on a calm, level-headed assessment of the British national interest. And that if we are to send our servicemen and women into harm's way, the very least they deserve is to know that they do so on a legal basis and with a proper, thought-through plan. Now, there are others who would have made a different decision 2 weeks ago. They would have rushed the UK headlong into this war without the full picture of what they're sending our forces into and without a plan to get us out. That is not leading.
Real close in the polls, man.
It's
real
following.
Close.
My leadership is about standing firm for the British interest, no matter the pressure. And I believe time will show that we have the right approach, right on the economy and the cost of living, right on defence and energy, and right on this war, in the best interests of the British people.
Islam is an asset of Iran and Pakistan.
Thank you.
Don't give a mess about.
And
British
now
America.
I will take some
That's their leader.
questions.
That's their leader.
And I think,
They voted for him.
Chris Mason, I'm starting with you.
They voted for this man.
Thank you, Prime Minister. Chris Mason, BBC News. Given the frequency of huge government interventions in recent years after the pandemic and the war in Ukraine, and where that's left the public finances, do you feel a constraint on whether you'd be able to offer any more support on the impacts of this war if it drags on? And if I may, you say the UK won't be drawn into the wider war, but you're willing to be part of what you described as a viable collective plan to keep the Straits of Hormuz open. What is the UK willing to do in specific terms?
Well, the two are linked, as you'll appreciate straight away, Chris, because the Straits of Hormuz is obviously vital in relation to the price of energy and the impact that that's having on the cost of living. So these are not two distinct and discrete issues. And on the Straits, we've been discussing this with partners, including European partners, Gulf partners, and the US. And obviously, we need to look at the options. We've already got autonomous mine hunting systems in the region.
Thank you for
We're
the
looking
likes.
at options and expertise, but working with our allies on that. In relation to the bigger picture, look, my instinct, my first priority is to protect people in relation to the cost of living. And that's why we put in measures that are already there, the capping of energy bills, and to be really clear, because I know people are worried about this, that is in place until the end of June. It's actually a cut.
You're saying he's out of there
because
next.
that's what we put in place at the budget, and then a cap and a fuel duty through to September. And the announcement today in relation to those that heat their homes through oil, which is a big issue in rural communities and a very big issue in places like Northern Ireland, putting that in place straight away. As to what might happen in 3 months or 6 months, I'm not going to stand here and pretend to you that we all know what the situation will be in 3 or 6 months time. We don't. The best way through this is to de-escalate and reduce the conflict, because that is the simple, most effective way to deal with the cost of living, and that's where we're putting our
So you're saying that the UK
all of our
people
focus. But look, you heard what I said about my instinct, and obviously we'll always do whatever we can in relation to the cost of living for working people. Thank you, Chris. Robert, I think I'm coming to you next.
Robert Preston, ITV. President Trump wants you to commit the Royal Navy now to keeping the Straits of Hormuz open. I think you're saying no to that. Is that right? And then, separately, you'll have seen the picture that ITV published of Epstein with Mandelson and the former Prince Andrew in their dressing gowns.
Why I like business
Why,
people too, that
in
can
Jonathan
run the country,
Powell's words, did you rush that appointment, given that Karen Pierce was prepared to stay for a few months, and that's what the US president wanted?
Let me deal with the Straits of Hormuz, because obviously that's one of the pressing issues of the day. It's something I discussed with President Trump yesterday on the phone. There have been discussions going on in relation to a viable plan. We want to make sure that that involves as many partners as possible. That's been our stated objective here, particularly talking to European partners, inevitably talking to Gulf partners and to the US, because we need a credible, viable plan if we can. And as I said a moment ago, this is, to say the least, not easy. It is not straightforward, and therefore we have to make sure that we've got that credible plan in place. As to what the precise options are, as I say, mine hunting systems of ours are already in the region. We've already spoken about what we can do in relation to anti-drone capability. But this isn't just about what the UK can do. It's about how we play a part in bringing others together behind a viable plan. So that's where we're at the moment. Well, we're looking through the options. It is difficult, of course. It's difficult. There's no hiding that. But that's what we're working on in terms of a viable plan, because ultimately we need to get the Straits opened. Otherwise, the price of energy will remain very high for reasons that everybody understands. So it's part and parcel of what we're doing on the cost of living. In relation to Mandelson, look, the independent advisor has looked at the tail end of last week at the process we went through, and he said it was the proper process. Look, the process wasn't strong enough, and that's why last year, I moved to strengthen the process and will strengthen it again. My reflection is the process wasn't strong enough. The process was followed, but was the process strong enough? No, it wasn't. Now, I recognise that back in September, when the Bloomberg emails came to light,
Can't listen to them
it
anymore.
was then that I
Makes you
started
go
the
for
process of strengthening it, and
most
will
corrupt
continue to
prime
do so.
minister they
Thank
ever
you,
had.
Robert. Beth, can I come to you?
Yeah, thank you. Beth Rigby, Sky News. Prime Minister, people are worried sick at the
I get
prospect
you.
of their
I
energy
get you,
bills
man.
going up by
How people be feeling about
£300
their
or more
politicians,
after
man.
June. The Conservative government
They
back in
voted for 'em,
2022 capped bills for all
voted for 'em.
households through an energy price cap. It cost about £40 billion. You're not going to do this, are you? Can you just level with people
You don't seem
that
that strong.
wealthier households are going to
you
have
don't
to
seem that
suck
strong.
some of this up? And on the Mandelson files, your National Security Advisor said the process was, quote, weirdly rushed. And Mandelson was appointed before developed vetting had been complete. You told MPs in the House of Commons that due process was followed. Is there a possibility that you have misled the House when you said that? Thank you.
No, and the independent advisor looked at that very question, I think, on Thursday or Friday of last week, and answered it very robustly that the process had been followed. The process wasn't strong enough. And amongst the changes that I intend to put into place is the fact that you can't announce someone until the vetting is finished. It wasn't an individual decision in the Mandelson case, that was the process. Well, you only have to look at that in the light of the
I've never been to the UK,
to
so I don't
realise
know
that
what
that
it's
needs
like
to
over there.
change. But on the due process, the process that was there was followed.
I've heard good
The
things
problem
and
was the
bad.
process wasn't strong enough. But ultimately, it was
say
my
America
mistake,
is
and
nice.
I have apologised for that, and quite right too. In relation to a wider point about energy bills, because I do know how worried people will be about this, and as I said, I've been to a number of community centres across the country where you can feel that, and I'm not surprised. We're not rolling anything out, but it is
UK
very
resident.
difficult to say at this
That's
juncture what the
backwards.
position will be in July, which
backwards,
is when the
Green Day.
current energy cap runs out, or what the position will be in September. And obviously our focus at the moment is de-escalating, dealing with the straits, and trying to find a way to limit the impact. My instinct is
Starmer must
always
be
to help
generating.
working people in a situation like this, hence the
really
energy
don't
price
like
cap that we
Starmer,
put in
huh?
place. In fact, reducing energy bills, which is one of
Is
the
he
measures
doing anything good over there?
the budget, and making sure that is held
gotta be
until
doing
June.
something good.
Work we've done on those that heat their homes through oil, which was a real cause for concern, particularly in the tail end of last week when people were beginning to fill up their tanks and they could feel for themselves. And this is an area where, in addition to what we can do through the money we've been putting in today, whether it's that or petrol, I'm absolutely determined to clamp down on anybody who may think of ripping others off in a situation like this. I've heard too many stories of deliveries being cancelled in order for the price to go up. Have to clamp down on that sort of ripping off. But I'm not going to say to you now, because so
tough.
much is unknown,
You gotta
what
get 'em
we
out here
might
if
do
that's
in
the
July.
case,
We are
man,
going to have to do what we can do now to
That's
de-escalate,
tough.
keep this all under review. And as soon as it's necessary to say anything further, I will obviously do so. But it's simply not sensible to say that in a number of months' time, not
bottom
knowing
of
what the
the
situation
barrel.
will be, that the following will be ruled in or ruled
Send
out. So
those
that's the
wealthy
approach that we're
people to
taking.
fight for
Thank
our
you, Beth. Can I go to Andy at Channel 5?
Thank you, Prime Minister. Andy Bell, 5 News. So initially you said no to the President when he wanted to use UK bases for the first wave. It feels like now you're saying no again to sending certainly any kind of shipping to open up the Gulf. Are you basically saying to him, there is no military way of opening up the Straits of Hormuz, we have to go for de-escalation? And presumably you must be getting worried now that your relationship with the President is getting pretty frayed.
Well, just
Stephen,
to go through this in
Bingham.
order, I said no to get involved in the initial offensive action and getting drawn into the war. And I stand by that decision. As I said a moment ago, many people criticised me heavily for that decision and indicated that they would have rushed into the war, only, in my view, for them to backpedal a week or two later when they saw the consequences of what action they would have taken had they been Prime Minister. In relation to the defensive action, whether it's what we're doing in the region, have been doing since the few hours after
We
the
almost
conflict
at 200
started,
votes.
or whether
We're
it's
at
the use of our bases,
176.
that is in collective self-defence
Still leaning
of
more
our people
towards
in
no.
the region
The US
and
is
our bases.
not right
The
about
Strait of
this war.
Hormuz is then a separate discussion, and it is a
How do
discussion.
y'all
We're
feel,
not at a
man? How
point
do
of
y'all
decisions
feel, man?
yet, and I want to really stress that. It is obviously a difficult question, that goes without saying, in relation to how you safeguard maritime traffic through the straits. Everybody knows the geography and the risks, but we are working and discussing that with the US, with Gulf partners and with the Europeans, and I discussed that yesterday with President Trump in the way we often discuss things. So that's where we're at on that. There are no decisions having been made. It'll have to be something which is agreed by as many partners as possible, is my strong view, and we're not at that stage yet, but we are working hard. I discussed it with President Trump yesterday in the way that you would expect between two allies and two leaders. And as soon as there's more to report, I will make sure that you have that. Thank you, Andy. I've got Chris Hope from GB News. Chris.
Thank you, Prime Minister. GB News viewers are very, very worried about petrol prices, as you might understand. They don't understand why you won't open up oil and gas fields to try and bring down the cost, mitigate that against, of course, the dash to net zero. Why not open up those oil and gas fields? And just on the special relationship, if 1 is bad and 10 is good, how would you rank your special relationship right now with Donald Trump?
Well, in relation to, I do know how anxious your viewers and everybody else will be in relation to their energy bills, because there's a conflict going on. They will have their own views and worries about the extent of that conflict. And many are worried that it escalates rather than de-escalates. I'm clear we need to de-escalate. In relation to their bills in the here and now, we are taking measures to protect them, and I want to just make that clear for all your viewers, because for the next 3 months their bills will come down and be held down, and they need that reassurance, because some are worried that they're going to go up next week or next month. That won't happen. Obviously, we'll have to keep under review what happens elsewhere. If they're oil-based, and some of your viewers will be, the announcement I've made today is to give them help with that, because already their bills are going up and they're not within, or they wouldn't otherwise be within the scheme. On oil and gas in the North Sea, obviously that's going to be part of the mix for many years to come.
He's one of those environmentalist guys. That's what you're saying?
So there's no difference of position.
He's trying to have everything run off of solar and electric everything. And is he forcing that over there though? Hope he's not forcing it.
There, we did make progress on what's called tiebacks. Your viewers may have seen that or not, but that basically allows further access into oil and gas in the North Sea. So that's already in place. But
he said he's not trying to send people over there. He's not trying to do it. Obviously, if it comes down to it, he'll send them over. But
the question I'm answering or trying to address at all times is what are the measures that are actually going to take money off bills now or in the foreseeable future? And that is by ensuring that we've got a better mix of renewables and that we go to renewables. And there's no denying, because we've seen this firsthand now. We saw it in Ukraine. We saw it in the 12 Days War. We're seeing it again now. If you're on the international market for oil and gas, you're vulnerable to the price going up on the international market, because we, the UK, have little control over that. And our North Sea oil doesn't give us control over that, because we sell onto the market. What gives us control is renewables, our own homegrown energy, which is then more secure and more independent, which is why I think that we should go further and faster in relation to renewables. Let's get control of our own energy, so that whatever's happening on the world, we control what's happening in this country. And I think...
Okay, I'll start doing that. We are cooked. My bad on that.
For many people, they'd say, by whatever means you do it, get control of energy, so I don't have to keep worrying that my bills are going to go up and down. I want to get to that place as quickly as possible, Chris. Thank you very much. Oh, look, I mean, it's a good relationship. We had a good discussion yesterday about the Straits, as you would expect. We're strong allies, have been for decades. But it is for me to act in what I consider to be the best interests of Britain. And I have to...
He says Trump is correct, power hungry, a pedo. Goodness. Why isn't he in jail then? Why isn't he in jail? Spartacus says people are protesting every day against Keir Starmer to get rid of him. They're doing the same for that in Donald Trump over here in the United States too, as well, Spartacus.
Keep that uppermost in my mind.
5 more votes and we had 200 votes. 56%
for want of a better
no.
word, that those that 2 weeks ago were urging us to go headlong into the full-blown war are beginning to have second thoughts about that, and there's reason for that. The problem, as I pointed out to the Leader of the Opposition last Wednesday, is if you're Prime Minister, you don't get to come back a week later and say, oops, I made a mistake about that war, can I back out of it now? You have to make the decision that you genuinely believe is in the best interest of the British people from the get-go. Thank you, Chris. I've got Matthew Gay.
Thank you, Prime Minister. Matthew Gay, the Quid Squid Personal Finance. Life is about to get a lot more expensive for people in the UK due to what's going on abroad.
He's not
Food and petrol are already going up, and energy bills past the price cap could also be seeing an increase, which a lot of people can't afford. So the government likely have 2 options: either do some of the stuff that you've already mentioned and find ways to cut these bills, or get more money into people's pockets. So with regards to the latter, how is the government planning to help people?
Yeah, well, thank you very much. And both are really important because we are taking measures to keep bills down, and that's why I can say that energy bills will be cut and capped for 3 months. But at the same time, we need to make sure more money goes into people's pockets. That's why we've done a lot of work on things like...
Not in jail because he has complete control of our judicial system. He didn't have complete control when he was going through all those trials and tribulations. He only has it now. Truth is, he won. He won because of it.
The minimum pay, to make sure that goes up, as it will go up in April, so people have got more money in their pockets. It's very important that we point out that wages are going up higher under this government than they went up under the first 10 years of the last government, because it will be a question of, for most people, how much am I getting in?
I 100% agree with you.
On a monthly 100%. Basis, and can I meet the bills that I've got to pay on a monthly basis? And just to be clear, because I do think this is important, when I was growing up, we didn't have enough money in my house to pay our bills. So I know what that feels like, to be around the kitchen table really worried. And I do genuinely know that there are many people across the country who are having those conversations today, who are really worried about it. And that's why it's important that I reiterate that my instinct, my first priority, is to do whatever we can to protect them, whether that's cutting or holding bills, or whether it's making sure they've got more money in their pocket in the first place. Thank you so much. I've got Jason Groves, Daily Mail.
That is so true.
Jason.
Bro.
Thanks, Pim. Can I ask you a couple of questions about petrol? You've talked a bit about profiteering, but at the moment, obviously, the Treasury is getting a big windfall from VAT on petrol. Every 5p it goes up, they get another penny. Shouldn't you be giving that money back? And then, secondly, Nick Butler, who you may know, used to work for Gordon Brown and BP, was out this morning saying we could be facing petrol rationing in a couple of months. What sort of preparations are you making for that?
Well, on both those issues, I mean, on fuel duty, that is being held till September. And yeah, that's held till September. And I know people are urging me, what are you going to do after September? But that is 6 months away. There's obviously a lot of change that could happen in that period. And we need to keep the situation under review, and we will keep the situation under review. In relation to the supply of energy, obviously we're taking all necessary measures to make sure there is the right supply of energy. It's really important that we do so, and it will always be a mix of oil and gas and renewables. We're actually using more renewables now than we were in 2022, which is helping in relation to supply, but we'll keep that under constant review. Thank you, Jason. I've got Millie from The Independent.
Thank you, Prime Minister. Millie Cook from The Independent. Pat McFadden this morning appeared to play down Trump's warning that the future of NATO would be very bad if we don't send warships to the Strait of Hormuz, describing it as rhetoric from the President. How concerned are you about the breakdown of the NATO alliance, and would you agree with Mr McFadden that Trump's threats are just rhetoric?
Well, firstly, we are working with others to come up with a credible plan for the Straits of Hormuz to ensure that we can reopen shipping and passage through the strait. Let me be clear, that won't be, and it's never been envisaged to be, a NATO mission. That'll have to be an alliance of partners, which is why we're working with partners both in Europe, in the Gulf, and with the US. It's important that we continue that. It is not straightforward. And you can see that historically when there have been other conflicts that have affected the Straits. But I do think that working with others, including the US, is the way to go forward. And I had a perfectly good discussion with President Trump about that yesterday. And of course, as you'd expect, I mean, we are talking to the US at all levels all the time. Whether it's the US, whether it's Europe, whether it's Gulf partners, we are trying to pull together both partners and a plan in relation to the Straits. Thank you very much. Let me go to George Parker, FT.
Thank you, Prime Minister. You said earlier that you simply won't allow companies to make huge profits from the hardship of working people. And
he doesn't seem like he's a fighter. To be honest, let's call it like it is. He doesn't seem like he's trying to be in no conflicts. He's not trying to send people to fight. He's not trying to be one of those macho men. He seemed like a really relaxed, nonchalant, calm guy. He doesn't seem like that type of guy that you would really want to be leading, but this is what the UK voted for.
You said that in the context of windfall taxes in the past. So I just wondered whether you were suggesting that if they carry on, as you see it, with this bad behaviour, a windfall tax or a higher windfall tax is a possibility. And secondly, taking you back to something you said right at the start, you said the longer this war goes on, the more dangerous it becomes. I just wondered if you could clarify what you mean by that and whether you feel the President shares your concerns.
Well, in relation to a windfall tax, obviously there is a windfall tax in place, and we continued and extended that. You can see in a circumstance like this why it's so important that we did so. That's the argument I made in 2022, and it's the argument I make now. Obviously, it is important that we work with the oil and gas sector, and that's why we've taken a number of measures, including the tieback provisions that we put in place just a few months ago. In relation to the broader words I used, look, the longer it goes on, the higher the risk of escalation, and the bigger the impact on the economy and energy prices, and hence on the cost of living for families across the country. And that is why, in addition to the self-defence actions that we're taking, in addition to the work and discussions that are going on in relation to the Straits of Hormuz, we do need to keep working for de-escalation. In the end, however it comes about, there is going to have to be a negotiated settlement of some sort. And we mustn't lose sight of that. We must talk to our allies about that, and we do. Obviously, we had
the Iranian mothers are definitely thankful that they're getting their children's bombed. That's so sad.
G7 call last week. I spoke to the President over the weekend, but I'm clear in my mind that the longer it goes on, the more difficult it becomes, and therefore I'm doing everything I can to work to a resolution of this, but I'm not going to stand here and pretend to you that that is straightforward, that is easy, but we do what we do best, which is to work with our allies, whether that's the US, Europe, or the Gulf, and slightly further afield in the coalition of the willing, to bring about that end. Thank you all very much indeed. Thank you.
Who are the 43% of idiots on this planet? At first, it was a lot closer. It was a lot further away. But the more and more we've been streaming, the more and more that no has been getting shrunken up, closer and closer. Somebody says, love from Iran. Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate you. We welcome everybody here. All right. Don't matter if you guys support Democrats. Don't matter if you guys support Republicans. We talk to any and everybody, and we definitely just want to get to the bottom of this. You know, not even to get to the bottom of it, really, just to talk about it. Just because we can have our opinions about stuff that's going on in the world. We're not suppressed. We can talk about anything in the United States pretty much. And yeah, a lot of people are pro-war. A lot of people are against it. A my opinion, obviously, I don't want to see people getting blown up. But at the end of the day, we got to protect ourselves, man. Whether that means people getting blown up, people not getting blown up, that's up to that's up to the leaders of our country. It's if you got a strong country, you gonna fight. You gonna fight to the end, man. But let me know y'all thoughts about that in the comments below. I'd really like to know y'all thoughts. Thank you guys for tuning in. I appreciate y'all viewership. Make sure you guys hit that like button for your boy, man. I really want to hit that subscribe button too if y'all are new, you know what I'm saying? we ain't gonna stop you from doing that. We ain't gonna stop you from doing that. We got a few more
even for negotiation.
We got a few more videos that I want to talk about with you guys while we are on this episode number 4. And a lot of people, we're just gonna turn it to New York real quick. We're gonna turn it to New York. Zohran Mamdani has said that he wants to bring up the minimum wage in New York City to $30 an hour. Now,
market should set the wage price. The market.
Myself. He wants to bring up the price of minimum wage to $30 an hour. And let's be honest and let's be clear. If that was to happen, a lot of people would be happy. You can't even lie about that. Can't even lie about that. Spartacus says, I feel for the Iranians, but a change must be made. You don't feel like we should just mind our business? You don't feel that way? Because didn't they voted this guy into power? I understand like people are dying. Does the hate for this regime mean that they need to get blown to pieces? I'm just asking. Because if somebody hated President Trump right now so bad, like a Putin or Kim Jong-un, if they hated him so bad that they would they would allow the military to go and bomb America just to say or just to prove a point, does that mean it's okay? I know we got the best military. I know we got the best equipment. We got the best soldiers. We're top of the line. I get that. But doesn't mean that we have to go into anybody else's business, tell them this is how we got to run things, especially from being a whole across the other earth. Like, we ain't nowhere close to Iran, but we got so much weight over there. It's never happening. I mean, I don't think it would happen. I would hope it won't happen, because if it does happen, then it's going to get real, even more serious. We going to start talking about, not even start talking, we going to start dropping nukes. And then everybody's out of luck. And everybody is out of luck. I'd rather us all just come together, say, hey, we do our thing over here. Y'all do y'all thing over there. Don't touch me. I won't touch you. Don't bother me. I won't bother you. We can all live on this earth nice and peacefully. But don't get it twisted. Obviously, if y'all want smoke, we can bring the smoke. I get that part. But I feel like we doing a lot. We're doing a lot to prove this point this time around. We're doing a lot. But anyways, let me know y'all thoughts about this down in the comments below. United Nations, man. There was a treaty signed a long time ago that there wouldn't be any nukes. Man, everything is off the table once people start getting blown up, bro. I hear you on that, But everything is off the table, bruh. Everything. That peace treaty was years ago. We in a whole different year. We in a whole different. This is a whole different ball game we playing. And I would appreciate it if you know we stood by our word, but we didn't stand by our words when we bombed a bunch of other places and we nuked Japan. We didn't. We forced them to surrender. We forced them. Have you ever danced on the Soul Train? No, I could bust a move or two. I'll be honest. I could bust a move or two if I really wanted to, but it's just not for me. Not for me. I'm really more of a basketball player, I'll be honest. I'll be honest, but let's get into the next video, man. Let's get into the next video. 60% of enriched uranium. If they start nuking the Middle East, that's one thing. If they start nuking the United States, that's a whole nother thing. That's why they signed that treaty. Hear me out. Why is it okay to still bomb then? If it's okay to not use nukes, why is it still okay? I'm trying to get into the next topic. I'm sorry, y'all, but why is it okay to still bomb if we can't nuke? Because bombing is still, I'm not saying it's as bad, but we still killing thousands of people by bombing. So what's another million people by nuking? Like, if the numbers add up, I'm pretty sure bombing does more damage. I'm pretty sure. Could just be me. All because Iran didn't want to be fair and make a fair deal with nukes. And I understand. Like, again, like, that's like somebody coming to the US and saying, yo, you can't make nukes here. You can't make nukes here or we gonna bomb you. The US not gonna, who are you to tell us? That's where it comes in. Big bank take little bank. Now it's about backing it up. How far is this gonna go? Hopefully it doesn't get nuclear, but damn near it could. It could. Because this is not just affecting Iranians and Americans. This war kind of is bigger than the Ukraine and Russia war. But let's continue into it, man.
So here we go again, Mayor Mamdani moving closer to making his progressive dream a reality. His campaign promise to make New York City home to the nation's highest minimum wage is now headed to City Council for approval. If passed, minimum wage would nearly double in the Big Apple by 2030, jumping from $17 an hour today to $30 an hour. Mom and pop shops say that with already sky-high rent and rising costs, this pay hike could be the final straw and force them to cut jobs. Larry Kudlow, explain why minimum wage does, or I'm assuming in your opinion, does not work.
I think he should have gone right to 50.
What a cheapskate.
You know what I mean? I mean, why stop at 30?
Yeah, if you're going to do it.
I mean,
Why not?
That's what I would have done. But I mean, look, these guys are working off margins that are very small, urban stores. I mean, except for some of the fancy European stores. But your basic mom and pop store doesn't have much of a profit margin. So you're going to have to pay labor. It's hard to they're not going to have the
Trump
productivity
likes him, though.
gains
Trump likes this man.
To keep unit labor costs down and justify it. I mean, you should let the market should set the wage price. The market should set the clearing price of whatever goods or services you're buying. It's just crazy stuff. It's socialist stuff, but you know.
But what fascinates me, Brian, is that the messaging works. People hear higher wage and they think, yes, power to the people, but they don't understand the ripple effects. That then, if McDonald's has to pay $30 an hour instead of 17, the price of my hamburger also doubles because they can't afford labor costs unless they raise income. And
you shouldn't be eating McDonald's, you big back. Shoot. Nobody wants to worry about if the prices at McDonald's go up. You don't need to be eating McDonald's. All right? Eat a little bit healthier then. If that's the case, go to the supermarket. Buy yourself some hamburgers from Shaw's. If McDonald's is too expensive.
And then I get paid $30 an hour, but then the price of the burger that I want to buy has also...
I agree the price will go up for minimum wage, but price is going up regardless.
So doubled. But that messaging doesn't sound as good, and so people don't...
I've never been in a state or country where the price goes down, besides gas prices. Maybe some type of agricultural products if we have a mass amount. But year over year over year, prices go up every year. Every single year. Doesn't matter what it is.
Understand that.
And it could
I
be
feel
green.
like this appeals to the NYU student who's taken like 2 quasi-Marxist economics classes and they think this works, but they haven't tested it in the real world, so they're all in on Zoran. But you know, we talk about, so okay, what is this going to do? And we have the AI conversation. Will AI kill jobs or create jobs? And I think it's going to create jobs overall. But the area where I do think it will team up with policy and kill jobs is this. Yes, there are moms and pops that may not be able to employ AI, but then you've got that whole layer of retail where it's actually like national or multinational retail, and they have operations here. And they see this, and they've got...
Like it says, it will go up to the point where businesses will have to close and will be affected. That will affect unemployment. I agree. I mean, of course, it's not going to work out like we want it to, and everything is peachy clean, but... shoot, a lot more people will be willing to work a job or work even harder, even if it's less staff, for the amount of $30 an hour. I'll be honest, like people are hearing that and they're thinking like, yeah, that's a good move, but we will see what exactly is going to happen.
10 companies with an AI solution breathing down their neck saying, if you don't want to pay $30 an hour, I've got a way for you to do inventory and stocking and tracking and customer service, and you don't need any people. And AI is going to get a toehold, and I don't blame AI for doing this, but you know that their salespeople are calling these companies right now and saying, we can help you avoid the cost of this. And those companies are going to say 100%. Yes. And Zoran's going to blame AI, and he's going to want to regulate AI, and the problem isn't AI, it's you.
Jackie.
So in the tradition,
a lot of people actually need a skill too. You know, you can't expect to be working out here in McDonald's for the rest of your life, or even if you get $30 an hour. The job market right now, it's tough. It's tough for a lot of people. A lot of people are struggling. We get that. But this is the thing. People need to get an actual skill that means something. Like working at McDonald's or working at Macy's for $30 an hour, or your closest retail shop for $30 an hour. Like it's a good feeling to be getting paid that much for doing that type of work, but the outcome of that is definitely going to raise prices. It's going to raise prices, and you're going to find yourself needing more than $30 an hour anyway. So the best thing to do is, in my opinion, is to get a skill that you know people are willing to pay you for.
scenario that you're describing with McDonald's, this shows that Zoran knows nothing about economics. I mean, I don't know how many more examples of that we actually need to know that he knows nothing. But you raise the prices and you actually make the affordability, you raise the wages, the prices go up, you make the affordability crisis worse. But this is really interesting what you're talking about.
It sounds good.
AI
It sounds really good.
Around it. In either scenario, it's a terrible scenario because if everybody's using AI, then you're killing jobs and people have no income. So they're not actually sitting and thinking through this. But I go back to some of our sort of spitballing around about this in the beginning, which is that if we have to test some of these ridiculous scenarios to understand how stupid they actually are,
it was like a landslide victory.
That's what we're in for.
Well, can I just raise one point? There's something missing from this. The concept of profits, okay, which is alien to socialists. But
it is.
If you're profitable, let's say your average labor cost is $10, and you might be profitable. All right, you might go to 15, you might go to 20, but at some point you hit the break-even point. Okay, the marginal cost exceeds the marginal revenue.
Americans.
So you have to fire them.
So true.
Right.
All right. Without profits, you have to lay off workers.
Or close your doors, right? I mean,
Or just go out of business altogether. I don't think that Mandami or his socialist pals, I mean, it's not
Definitely
a
doesn't care
lexicon.
about that.
Right. They don't even think about it.
Profit is evil to them. It's evidence of evil, actually.
But if you don't make money, you can't stay in business.
You were talking about what will be the reality check that will stop it. It's going to be businesses closing down. We were talking during the break about how wonderful eating is in New York City, and not only at people's houses, but at these wonderful restaurants. They have, to be specific, I looked it up, they have a profit margin of 2 to 6%.
Yeah.
Most restaurants, 2 to 6%. And they want to double the labor costs. Labor is about 30 to 40% of the cost of having a restaurant. So
it's going to be, the truth is it's going to be super hard to let this happen. Like, this is not going to just be an easy thing to happen. They might bump the minimum wage, but to $30, I don't know if that's going to be reasonable. I don't think that's going to be reasonable. And the thing about the free rent too, he's saying, Spartacus, that's not reasonable either. Like, who in their right mind, unless you're doing full government rental, can let a tenant live in their house that they own a loan on? That's not feasible. You'll be 100% dependent on the government. And that's not the state you want to live in, I'll be honest, bro. That's not the state, people. You don't want to be dependent on the government. You don't want them to own everything and you have no say so and nothing you do. Like, again, get a job, get a career that makes sense, that is going to be here for a long time. Build your resume, stack up your chips, invest your money, and build it that way. Don't be a slug, man. Don't be a slave to the system, bro.
they want to double. This would just put about half of the restaurants in New York out of business. Flat. There's a wonderful guy named Zane Tankel, who owned more Applebee's in New York area than anybody else. He owned 40 Applebee's. We used to have him on a lot. He's a wonderful guy. He said, to your point, Brian,
mostly it was the younger generation that voted for this guy Mandani too, man. So, you know, it's a lot of people that think they know what they're talking about, but again, we will see.
What this will first do is to get people to immediately switch to all the electronic, all the AI devices that they could possibly get their hands on. Fire as many people as possible. So yes, people will be out of work, but eventually a lot of companies can't afford all the AI solutions. They can't afford all the tech solutions that would allow them to avoid paying people twice as much as they were. So they're going to go out of business. And New York will go down in quality. The quality of life in this city will suffer, not only for the residents like us, but for the tourists who come.
That's what they want. They don't want us here, David. That's the conclusion that I've come to.
They need the tourists
at least.
They want
a low quality of life, and that is their dream of what
Larry's
a beautiful
going to Highland
city
Park.
looks like.
Esso.
Don't even
I'm
get me
Esso, Exxon, Esso. Remember the Esso service stations? They've just legally left New Jersey.
That's right.
Okay.
Listen, man. It sounds really good on paper. It sounds sounds really good on paper, but I don't think it'll work. I don't think it'll work, man. As much as it looks good, it sounds good, all that good stuff, I don't think it'll work. You'll kick somebody's ass if they support Islam. That's tough. It's tough. Yeah, as much as they want it to work and they want this thing to be, you know, going about in New York, the most money-making city in the United States, I don't know. I don't know if it's gonna work. It's definitely not gonna work if Trump don't allow it. Also, Trump has to probably be the final say on this, because this sounds like a lot of prices are gonna be raised. People are gonna get their jobs taken away. They're gonna have to substitute people with AI struck. They already doing that. But $30 an hour sounds really good to people. It's just the honest truth. That's why it's bringing in so much attention, because you get $30 for working at a fast food restaurant. People are gonna be happy with it. People are gonna be happy. But it sounds good. It sounds good. Let me know y'all thoughts about this down in the comments below. I'd really like to know y'all thoughts. Thank you guys for tuning in. I appreciate y'all. Vision is the best weapon, Spartacus says. I agree, man. It is. It definitely is. The world is divided too. Where do you think your life is going with AI? Man, AI is a very, very good tool. I use it pretty much every single day, to be honest with you. But I'm trying to figure out ways to more like use AI to make my life easier and make my life more effective, more efficient, and make more money for me, of course. AI is not the end all be all, but it definitely is a great tool that you should be using. If you're not using AI right now, if you're not figuring out ways that you can capitalize off of it, you're gonna be so far behind when this thing really takes off. Illegals will be loving that $30 an hour, Jackson. Illegals are working DoorDash still, man. They're not. I don't think they could get me unless they can. But the illegals that I've heard, they work in DoorDash and Instacart. They're the ones on the bikes that ICE is chasing around. $30 an hour is good news for anybody, bro. Especially an illegal. Especially. Shoot. I'm telling me, get $30 an hour talking. I'm in there. I'm in there.
As we get another work week underway, the pain that Americans are...
Got a few more topics that I wanted to talk about before I get on out of here, because I got something to do at 2 o'clock, unfortunately. Same thing with AI. They got us hooked on cell phones. Now we're hooked on AI. Oh, everything is about social media this year, man. It's crazy. Everything is, especially when it first came out, bro. Social media is. I try to stay off it, man. I really do. Really do try to stay off it. It's still 56 to 44% in the chat, man. That's crazy. That's crazy. But apparently Trump is asking for some support, and support with naval ships and people going through the Strait of Hormuz. So let's tune into the video, man. Let's see what he's talking about, man. what's actually going on here.
And we want to get more on the very latest for what's happening overseas. I want to bring in our senior Washington correspondent, Joe St. George, joining me now live from Capitol Hill. So, Joe, no end in sight with this conflict. Oil prices going up again, something we've been keeping our eyes on. The Strait of Hormuz continues to be blocked. What is happening now as we get ready to get the week going here in D.C.?
Well, a little bit of breaking news happening just within the last few moments. On CNBC, the Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent is saying something about Iranian tankers leaving the Strait of Hormuz. And I just want to quote what the Secretary said. The Iranian ships have been getting out already, and we've let that happen to supply the rest of the world. That's what Scott Bessent, the U.S. Treasury Secretary, told CNBC just a few moments ago. As we get another work week underway, the pain that Americans are feeling related to this, there's obviously a human cost. If you're one of the family members of the service members who were killed, that's the only story you care about right now, the human cost of this conflict. But there is a financial cost to every single American. Right now, this morning, the cost for a gallon of gasoline, give or take, through AAA, is $3.70 a gallon, up significantly. Gas wasn't even $3 a gallon 30 days ago. Much of the storyline this week will be how close do we get to $4 a gallon as a national average. What's abundantly clear as well is that energy infrastructure sites continue to be targeted on both sides of the battlefield. In recent hours, we're tracking explosions in the United Arab Emirates at key energy facilities.
You know what's funny about that, Spartacus? I know some Americans that are scared to be in America. That's so, to me, it doesn't make sense. Like, it blows my mind because it's not as bad as people make it seem. It's really not. Now, would I rather be in Iran or would I rather be in America? I mean, that's kind of obvious, but like, it's really not as bad as people make it seem.
In recent days, the U.S. military bombed parts of an Iranian island that is known for producing great amount of oil, processing oil, a key infrastructure site. All as uncertainty exists around the Strait of Hormuz, that body of water, that narrow passageway where give or take around 20% of the world's oil passes through each and every day. But again, notable what the Treasury Secretary has said this morning, that they are allowing some Iranian ships out to supply the rest of the world. We're going to check to see what exactly that means, because the storyline going into week 3 of this conflict has very much been, well, nothing's getting out, that the strait remains essentially frozen. And when you're talking about a body of water that the world, so much of the world relies on, particularly Asia and parts of Europe, to get their energy, it's created a global disruption that this world has never seen before. Now, in addition to the developments from the Treasury Secretary this morning, we're also tracking what President Trump told reporters last night on Air Force One, saying that he's working with us.
They might hate Trump, but they still are free. 100%, bro. 100%. We're literally able to do whatever we want still. Nothing really has changed. Like, I get if you're an illegal, you feel some type of way. I get that. But for the average person in America, really nothing much has changed, to be honest. Besides people, I guess some people got laid off in the government because of waste, you know, because they were pretty much staying at home just looking at the sky and looking at movies all day. That's not a job. Unfortunately, that's not a job. Of course he was gonna get let go. Of course he was gonna get let go. But it's a different story, man. Like, seriously, not much has changed. People are making it seem like it's like a hellhole over here, like people are protesting left and right. But the truth is, mostly everything is the same.
Other countries to essentially.
I live in Boston. What I've noticed so far that has changed in the last 2 years, people are making a lot more money. People are, they're educating themselves about certain topics. They're trying to, you know, protect themselves, get their guns and all that stuff. I've noticed that. But to say that stuff has dramatically changed and that we're scared to live here, That's just not true.
Police the Strait of Hormuz. He's calling upon China. He's calling upon European leaders to get more involved so that the energy can get out and that the Strait of Hormuz can get back, maybe not to normalcy, but to some degree of normalcy. The president posted this on Truth Social. It's a lot. I know it's difficult to read this. Maybe if you got a 70-inch television, you're seeing it just fine. But if you're watching us on your phone, streaming us on your phone this morning, I just want to read part of it. We have already destroyed 100% of Iran's military capability, but it's easy for them to send a drone or two, drop a mine, or deliver a close-range missile somewhere along or in this waterway, no matter how badly defeated they are. And the president said hopefully China, France, Japan, South Korea, and the UK and others will essentially get involved. Here's part of what the president said last night on Air Force One, his effort to create this global coalition to get some degree of normalcy back to the Strait of Hormuz.
We're talking to countries about policing the straits because they are the ones, we don't get oil, very little, 1%, 2%. China, as an example, gets about 90% of its oil from the Hormuz Strait. And it's nice to have other countries police that with us.
But Steph,
and I agree with you, Spartacus, bro. I agree with you. Like, we can choose to complain, we can choose to whine, and choose to be depressed about things that are going on. But like, to put your faith in one person that is a human being that's just like you have to be able to think for yourself, man. You have to be able to do for yourself at the end of the day. You shouldn't be dependent on any government. I don't care if you voted for him. Like, there's some stuff that Trump does that I agree with. There's some stuff that Trump does that it might not be my way of doing things. But it don't stop me from living. It don't stop me from living. It can't stop me from living. It's not going to control my way about going away how I live my life. Because in a sense, you're giving that person power over you. You're giving that person power. You can only control. We can't control anything. We can only control what we do, right? We can only control what we do. That's how I feel, man. That's how I live my life.
Stephanie, you know this. I mean, there is, I think, a great question mark over how much does Iran want the Strait of Hormuz getting back to where it was or close to where it was. I mean, it's abundantly clear that their military strategy is try and inflict as much economic pain as possible to survive. And their way of doing that is targeting energy sites, targeting oil sites, yes, restricting the Strait of Hormuz. They can't go missile for missile, rocket for rocket, plane for plane with the United States military. I mean, the U.S. has control of Iranian airspace, and they have now for several days. But as we enter week 3, we'll be watching closely to see how active does the Strait of Hormuz get, and in turn, how does that impact the price of oil, Stephanie?
Well, Joe, something we've seen frequently with the Trump administration is a battle, a disagreement about what media coverage looks like. And the president is threatening news organizations again. What is the latest battle between President Trump and those of us in the media?
Right. For those of us that have covered the president now north of 10 years in his political career, I mean, the term fake news or bashing reporters, it's not exactly new, but something has happened over the course of the last several days that may be a new development, or at least potentially a new development, is that is threatening broadcasters, local broadcasters, with their licenses over how the war is covered. The president took to Truth Social last night to really applaud the FCC chairman who made news on this over the weekend, that they would look into reports, how the war reporting is being conducted. The president saying online, again, another lengthy post, but at the end, the president said, "I am so thrilled to see Brendan Carr, the chairman of the Federal Communications Commission, looking at the licenses of some of these corrupt and highly unpatriotic news organizations. They get billions of dollars of free American airwaves and use it to perpetuate lies, both in news and almost on all of their shows. including late-night morons who get gigantic salaries for horrible ratings and never get, as I used to say in The Apprentice, fired. Now, the RTDNA, which represents broadcasters, which is a group that represents many journalists, they fired back in response, quote, "Let's be direct, what Chair Carr is describing is government control of the press. He can call it public interest. He can call it accountability. It's neither. Using federal regulatory power to threaten broadcast licenses over coverage decisions is unconstitutional. Full stop. The First Amendment does not have a carve-out for news," the FCC chair finds.
And I kind of get that point. You don't want to take away from the First Amendment freedom of speech. You don't want to take away from that. But at the same time, if you're out here reporting on stuff that's actually not true, you should be at least held accountable for it. Not in a way of you might lose your license, but you might have to come and say, all right, this was not true. Like I was saying earlier in the stream with Pete Hegseth, he was saying some certain things about the Iranian leaders and how one of them is injured and this and that, where we didn't even actually know if that was true. And it came out that it wasn't true. So I don't like to be lied to the same way you don't like to be lied to. Let's try to get the truth out there, and let's try to get it the most authentic news that we can get. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. You don't have to take licenses unless you are out here purposely trying to put out fake and false news.
Inconvenient. So that's how broadcasters are responding. We will see exactly where this goes, right? I mean, we've seen threats by the president before. This has been a popular tactic for now north of a decade, going after the press. But we have seen slight, although significant.
Fake news can really damage somebody's mindset about what's really going on. Like fake news, like you saying, Spartacus, about COVID. Like there was a whole lot of fake news during then, a whole lot, and people just believed it. They were scared. They were nervous. They didn't want to come outside. Like I know people that are still to this day wearing masks everywhere they go, even if they're by themselves. Just because of how bad that time period affected them mentally, because of what they saw on the news. I don't believe everything. I don't believe everything. I take it. I hear it. I comprehend it. I try to analyze what I believe and what I not believe, and I do my best to make the right decision. But to sit here and just 100%, just if you hear everything on the news and you just agree with it without doing your own research and your own analysis of it, you're just a bot. Like you just a bot.
Changes in press policy at the Pentagon since the start of Operation Epic Fury. Photojournalists, photographers, for instance, have been restricted photographing the Secretary of Defense. We saw a big walkout of journalists, Pentagon journalists used to covering the Pentagon. Many of the country's top Pentagon and military journalists no longer work inside the Pentagon to cover their beat because of new restrictions put in place in the last several months as well. So we've seen significant changes. What does this mean? Is this just meant to rally the base on social media? Again, one of the many stories we're tracking on another busy Monday here in Washington.
Let me know y'all thoughts about this down in the comments below, man. I'd really like to know y'all thoughts. Thank you guys for tuning in. I appreciate y'all, man. Real talk, man. It's been a great episode. We went over a lot today. Over a whole lot. And I really do appreciate all of y'all that took the time to comment, to leave a like, that subscribed, all that good stuff, man. Y'all make this show a dope experience, you know, for everybody. And I really appreciate y'all, man. Shout outs to everyone that said what they said in the chat, you know, said their feelings. Everyone that voted, we had 245 votes today. And I'm going to end this poll now. If you wanted to get your final vote in and you didn't get to vote yet, say get it in before this ends. But we still at 56% saying the U.S. is not right about war. So it looks like that is definitely the consensus on today's live, at least. That's the consensus. It's dope. It's dope. Joseph, thanks for interacting with us, man. No, you guys, man, y'all make it a better show, for real. When you guys say stuff in the chat, it makes it a better show. I really do appreciate that. Spartacus, you too, man. Y'all been going crazy. I've been going crazy. It's okay to get the truth from other countries. Americans are told lies, and this administration tells lies by this administration. That's my point too. I mean, we don't want to be one-sided. We want to hear the news on both sides too. We're not biased. Like, I might have voted for Trump, but that doesn't mean that he's the end-all be-all. Like, we definitely want to hear what other people have to say and what other ideas are out there to make this place a better place. Honestly, at the end of the day, that's what we want to do. Make this place, make this country, make this world a better place. If we had not been here, leave an impact that, you know, people can resonate with, people can, you know, build with and bond with. That's what we're here to do, and that's what I hope that you guys are here to do also, man. It's been a pleasure. I hope that y'all enjoy the rest of y'all morning. Oh, sorry, it's not even morning anymore where I'm at. It's afternoon. But I hope you guys enjoy the rest of y'all afternoon. As you guys come back and we grow with this channel, we'll start doing some more like live interactions with people. That would be dope to get people's actual opinions about, see how they feel about certain things and let them have a voice on this platform as well. But shoot, we got some ways to go before I think we get there. But again, y'all, appreciate y'all. Stay blessed. Stay motivated. Stay positive, because we need you. We need you to stay positive. Everything is gonna work out. We're gonna be fine. Spartacus says, I'll sub. I appreciate you, Spartacus, man. Welcome to the family, brother. Welcome to the family. We're gonna be back every Monday. We come and stream, and then throughout the week I have like random periodic streams. I can't really stream as much in the week because I work like a workhorse. I'll be honest. Like, I get to the money. I'll be honest, bro. But every Monday I'm off, so that's gonna be my main live streams. It's gonna be on Mondays. So I'll see y'all again soon. Enjoy the rest of y'all day, man. Until next time, y'all already know, man, it's your boy Dgotsauce. Peace.